I stared at the document my daughter slid across the dining table. Voluntary Residential Care Agreement, it read in bold letters at the top. My 63rd birthday cake sat untouched between us, its candles already blown out. "Mom, we've talked about this," Jessica said, her voice carrying that patient tone people use with children. "The house is too much for you. Clearwater Meadows is lovely. You'll have friends, activities, proper care." I looked up at her husband, Derek, standing by the doorway with his phone pointed directly at me. The little red light indicated he was recording. "Are you filming this?" I asked. "Just for the family records," he said with a tight smile. "You know, so we remember this important moment." Jessica pushed a pen toward me. "We've already paid the deposit. Your room is ready. We can move you in next weekend." I picked up the document, reading through the fine print. If I signed this, I would be giving Jessica power of attorney over my finances and property. The house, the Victorian home my late husband Thomas and I had restored over 30 years, would be sold to cover care costs. "This says I'm incompetent to manage my own affairs," I said quietly. "That's just legal language, Mom. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Jessica's perfectly manicured fingernail tapped the signature line. "Derek and I have our own family to think about now. The twins need a bigger house, and this neighborhood has the best schools." There it was, the truth beneath the concern. I set down the pen and stood up. "I see." "Mom, where are you going? You haven't signed." "Thank you for the cake," I said, picking up my purse. "I need some air." "You're being ridiculous," Jessica called after me. "You can barely manage the stairs. What happens when you fall and no one finds you for days?" I paused at the door. "I've managed just fine for 3 years since your father passed." "Yeah, well, Dad isn't here to clean up after you anymore," Derek muttered, still filming. I left without another word. The November air bit at my cheeks as I walked the 6 blocks home. Our home, the house where Thomas and I had hosted neighborhood gatherings, where we'd welcomed newcomers to the community, where we'd built something that mattered. My phone buzzed before I reached the corner. A text from Jessica. "Think about what you're doing. We're only trying to help." Then another. "Derek is posting the video on the family chat so everyone knows how unreasonable you're being." I turned off my phone. The next morning, I discovered what Derek's family records really meant. My neighbor, Patricia, knocked on my door at 8 a.m., her face tight with discomfort. "Claire, I saw something online. I wanted you to hear it from a friend first." She showed me her tablet. Derek had posted the video to a community Facebook group called Vancouver Island Families. The caption read, "When elderly parents refuse help and put themselves at risk. Anyone else dealing with this? She won't accept she can't live alone safely anymore. Number elder care, number tough love." The video had been edited to make me look confused and defiant. They'd cut out the part about selling the house, cut out Derek's comment about my husband. Just me, refusing to sign, walking away from a reasonable request for my own safety. The comments were brutal. My mother was the same way. Sometimes you have to make hard choices for them. Stubborn and selfish. Those poor kids just want her safe. Classic boomer entitlement. Won't accept reality. Patricia squeezed my hand. "For what it's worth, I know you. You're sharper than most people half your age. This is cruel." "Thank you," I managed to say. Over the next week, I felt the neighborhood's warmth evaporate. People who used to stop and chat at the grocery store suddenly had urgent business elsewhere. My usual seat at the community knitting circle remained conspicuously empty beside me. Even the librarian, normally so chatty, gave me tight-lipped smiles. Jessica called daily, each message a variation of the same theme. "For your own good, Mom, we have your best interests at heart. Just sign the papers." I stopped answering. What Jessica didn't know, what no one knew, was that I had spent the last 3 years since Thomas's death building something new, something that mattered more than a house. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I volunteered at Harborside Youth Center, teaching art to at-risk teenagers. Kids from broken homes, kids in foster care, kids who'd been told they'd never amount to anything. I taught them that their voices mattered, that they could create beauty from pain. I'd been using my late husband's life insurance payout to fund supplies, canvases, paints, drawing tablets, pottery wheels, whatever they needed to express themselves. The center's director, Maria Santos, had become a dear friend. She'd seen these kids transform. One girl, Kayla, had been so angry when she first arrived that she'd thrown a jar of paint at the wall. Now her work was being featured in local galleries. A boy named Marcus had been failing school. His charcoal drawings had earned him a full scholarship to Emily Carr University. "You have a gift for seeing the light in people," Maria had told me once. "These kids trust you because you don't pity them. You believe in them." But I kept this work private. It wasn't about recognition. It was about legacy. The week after the video incident, I had my weekly session with the youth. Kayla was working on a large piece, a storm of colors that somehow felt both chaotic and peaceful. "Claire, can I ask you something?" she said, not looking up from her canvas. "Of course. That video going around, is that really you?" My hands stilled over the clay I was preparing for Marcus. "You saw it? Everyone's seen it. It's gone viral on TikTok. Some influencers stitched it with commentary about toxic parents who refuse to accept aging." Kayla finally looked at me. "But that doesn't sound like you. You're not falling apart." "No," I said softly. "I'm not." "Then why are they saying those things?" I met her eyes. "Because sometimes the people closest to us see only what they want to see. My daughter sees a burden, a problem to solve, an obstacle to her plans." "That's messed up," Marcus said from across the room. "You're literally the sanest adult I know." The other kids murmured agreement. "Thank you," I said, feeling tears prick my eyes. "But don't judge her too harshly. She's scared. Fear makes people do terrible things." "Fear of what?" Kayla asked. "Fear of responsibility. Fear of not having enough. Fear of being trapped by obligation." I returned to the clay. The irony is, I was never going to be her burden. I had plans. "What kind of plans?" Marcus asked. I hadn't told anyone yet. The paperwork was still being finalized. But looking at these young faces, so full of hope despite everything they'd endured, I felt the words spill out. "I'm donating the house," I said, "to create a permanent space for young artists. A studio, a gallery, a safe place to create. The house is already zoned for commercial use. Your father and I did that years ago when we considered opening a bed and breakfast. Instead, it will become the Thomas Whitmore Art Sanctuary." The room fell silent. "You're giving away your house?" Kayla whispered. "I'm giving it purpose," I corrected. "Thomas and I never had children until Jessica came along when I was 41. We'd planned to adopt, but infertility took that dream. Then Jessica arrived, and we thought our family was complete. But now I realize family isn't just blood. It's the people who see you, who value you, who show up." "Does your daughter know?" Marcus asked. "No, and she won't, until the papers are signed." Maria had been listening from the doorway. She walked over, eyes glistening. "Claire, are you certain?" "I've never been more certain of anything." 3 weeks later, on a cold December evening, I received an email that made my hands shake. The city of Victoria was hosting its annual Community Builder Awards ceremony. I'd been nominated in the Legacy category for my work with at-risk youth. I almost deleted the email. I'd been nominated twice before and never won. The awards always went to wealthy donors, with buildings named after them, not quiet volunteers working in community centers. But Maria called immediately after. "You have to come, Claire. You have to. Win or not, these kids need to see you honored." "Jessica will be there," I said. "She's on the selection committee this year." "All the more reason. Let her see who you really are." The night of the ceremony, I wore the emerald dress Thomas had bought me for our 40th anniversary. As I entered the convention center, I felt eyes on me. The video had reached beyond our neighborhood. Strangers whispered, pointed. I held my head high. Jessica spotted me immediately. She rushed over with Derek in tow. "Mom, what are you doing here?" I was invited. "You were." She blinked, confused. "For what?" Before I could answer, Maria appeared with Kayla, Marcus, and a dozen other youth from the center. They surrounded me like a protective wall. "Mrs. Whitmore." Kayla hugged me tight. "We're all here to support you." Jessica stared at the teenagers. Who are these people? My friends, I said simply. Derek had his phone out again, but Marcus stepped between us. Put that away, man. Show some respect. The ceremony began. We sat through awards for business development, environmental initiatives, healthcare advocacy. With each passing category, my heart sank. Legacy would be announced last. Finally, the mayor took the stage. Our final award tonight recognizes someone who has quietly transformed lives. Someone who asks for no recognition, accepts no payment, and expects nothing in return. Jessica leaned toward Derek. This is ridiculous. We could have skipped this part. The mayor continued. 3 years ago, this person began volunteering at Harborside Youth Center. Since then, they've worked with over 100 at-risk teenagers. 12 have received post-secondary scholarships. 23 have had their artwork displayed in public galleries. 5 have started their own small businesses. My hands gripped the armrest. But the real impact can't be measured in statistics. It's measured in lives changed, futures reclaimed, hope restored. The mayor smiled. This person has also pledged their family home to create a permanent art sanctuary for youth in our community. The Thomas Whitmore Art Sanctuary will open next spring. Jessica gasped beside me. This year's Community Builder Legacy Award goes to Claire Whitmore. The room erupted in applause. The youth from the center jumped to their feet, whooping and cheering. I sat frozen, unable to process what was happening. Maria pulled me up. Go, Claire. They're waiting for you. I walked to the stage in a daze. The mayor shook my hand, handed me a crystal award, and stepped aside for me to speak. I looked out at the crowd, found Jessica's face, pale and stricken, found Derek's phone, lowered now, found my kids from the center, crying and clapping. I'm not good at speeches, I began. My voice echoed through the sound system. 3 years ago, I lost my husband. Thomas was my partner in everything. When he died, I thought my purpose died with him. I paused, gathering my thoughts. But I was wrong. Purpose isn't given to us by another person. It's not tied to our roles as spouse or parent or anything else. Purpose is what we choose to create when everything we thought we knew falls away. I looked directly at Jessica. My daughter thinks I'm incompetent, that I can't manage alone, that I need to be put somewhere safe, somewhere manageable. I held up the award. But this past week, I've realized something. I don't need to be managed. I need to matter. We all do. The crowd was silent now, hanging on every word. The house that my daughter wants to sell, the house she thinks is too much for me to handle, it will become a place where young people learn that their pain can become their power, where they discover that being broken doesn't mean being worthless, where they find family in the most unexpected places. Tears streamed down my face now. Thomas and I built that house with our own hands. We painted every wall, refinished every floor, planted every tree, and now it will shelter dreams instead of just memories. That's not incompetence, that's legacy. The applause was deafening. Backstage, after the ceremony, the mayor pulled me aside. Claire, I have to tell you something. Your daughter filed a petition with the city last week. She claimed you were being exploited by the youth center, that you were being manipulated into donating your property while in a vulnerable mental state. My blood ran cold. What? We investigated, of course. Spoke to your doctor, your lawyer, the center's director. Everyone confirmed you're of completely sound mind, sharp as a tack, your doctor said. He smiled. The petition was dismissed, but I thought you should know. She also tried to get the award nomination pulled. I see. I'm sorry you had to learn about your daughter's character this way. I think I've known for a while, I admitted. I just didn't want to believe it. Jessica found me in the hallway as I was leaving. Derek wasn't with her. Mom, Don't. I held up my hand. I know about the petition. Her face flushed. I was protecting you. That center is taking advantage. They're taking advantage of nothing. I sought them out. I offered my time, my resources, my home. I stepped closer. What you can't accept is that I have value beyond what I can give you. That's not fair. I'm your daughter. That house should be what? Your inheritance? I shook my head. Jessica, Your father and I gave you everything. Private schools, university with no debt, your wedding, the down payment on your first condo. We never asked for anything in return." "Exactly. So now you think you're entitled to more." I finished her sentence. "But entitlement isn't love, and I won't let you sell my purpose to fund your comfort." "Those kids don't even know you. They're just using you." "Those kids see me," I said quietly. "They value me. They show up for me. They celebrated my success tonight while you tried to sabotage it." I adjusted my shawl. "I think we both know who's really using whom." Jessica's face crumpled. For a moment, she looked like the little girl I'd adopted all those years ago, the frightened child who'd been through 3 foster homes before we found her. "I was so scared," she whispered. "When Dad died, I thought I'd lose you too. And if you gave everything away, if you had nothing left, how would you survive? Who would take care of you?" My anger softened. "Oh, sweetheart, I am being taken care of, just not in the way you imagined. I don't understand." "I know. That's the problem." I kissed her forehead. "When you're ready to see me as a whole person instead of a problem to solve, call me. Until then, I need space." I walked away, leaving her standing in the hallway. The following week, Derek's video resurfaced with a new caption. "Update. Turns out the incompetent elderly woman is a community hero. Maybe we should listen before we judge." The comments section filled with apologies, with people admitting they'd made assumptions, with praise for my work. But I didn't read them. I was too busy. The house transformation began in January. Contractors converted the dining room into a gallery space. Thomas's old workshop became a pottery studio. The master bedroom, where I'd slept alone for 3 years, was divided into 2 smaller art studios with excellent natural light. I moved into a modest apartment downtown, 1 bedroom, a view of the harbor, enough space for me and my memories. On opening day in April, over 200 people came to tour the sanctuary. Local artists donated work for the inaugural exhibition. The mayor cut the ribbon. Maria gave a speech about the power of believing in young people. And standing in the back, partially hidden by a pillar, I saw Jessica. She didn't approach, didn't try to talk, just watched, tears streaming down her face. After everyone left, after the last guest had exclaimed over the space and made promises to donate and support, I found her still there. "It's beautiful," she said. "Dad would have loved this." "Yes," I agreed. "He would have." "I'm sorry, Mom. I was so focused on what I thought you needed that I never asked what you wanted." She wiped her eyes. "I convinced myself that planning your future was love, but it was just control disguised as care." "Fear disguised as care," I corrected gently. "That too." She looked around the space. Can I help? With the sanctuary? I'm good at fundraising, and Derek knows grant writing, and Slow down, I said, taking her hand. This isn't about finding a new way to manage me. This is about you deciding if you can accept me as I am. Not as the mother you think you need, but as the woman I actually am. I want to try. Then start by listening. Really listening. I squeezed her hand. Come to the youth sessions. Meet the kids. See what I see in them. And maybe, eventually, you'll understand why I chose this over safety and comfort. Over the next months, Jessica did come. Tentatively at first, staying on the edges, watching, then gradually participating, helping Kayla prepare for her first solo exhibition, teaching Marcus about grant applications, bringing the twins to weekend family art sessions. One evening, as we cleaned up after a particularly chaotic pottery class, she said, "I think I'm starting to get it." "Get what?" "Why you'd rather have this than a quiet room in Clearwater Meadows watching TV all day." She gestured at the paint-splattered tables, the drying canvases, the remnants of creative chaos. "This is messy and loud and unpredictable, but it's alive." "Yes," I said, "exactly. I'm still scared, though, of losing you, of you getting hurt, of being alone when you're gone." "Those are valid fears," I acknowledged, "but they're your fears to manage, not mine to prevent. I can't make myself smaller to ease your anxiety." "I know, I'm learning that." She paused. Derek and I are in therapy, working on a lot of things. The twins are learning about healthy boundaries and consent and all the things we clearly failed to understand. That's good work. Yeah, she smiled weakly. Turns out, being called out publicly for elder abuse is a pretty effective wake-up call. Is that what people are saying? Mom, there were think pieces written about us. Derek's video is used in social work classes as an example of coercive control. She shook her head. We deserved it. Every word. I didn't disagree. By the sanctuary's first anniversary, we'd served 156 young artists. 3 had been hired by local studios. 1 had work purchased by the Vancouver Art Gallery. 12 had reconciled with estranged family members. All of them had found something they thought they'd lost, a reason to believe in themselves. The ceremony was small, intimate. Just the regular volunteers, the youth, a few donors, and family. Jessica gave a speech. A year ago, I thought I knew what my mother needed. A safe place, supervision, protection from her own choices. She looked at me. I was wrong about everything. My mother didn't need protection. She needed purpose. And by trying to take that away, I almost destroyed the most important relationship in my life. She held up a framed drawing, one of Kayla's pieces from her scholarship portfolio. This place has changed so many lives, including mine. It taught me that love isn't about controlling someone for their own good. It's about trusting them to know their own good. After the ceremony, as I walked through the gallery, my house transformed into something greater than I'd imagined. I thought about that birthday dinner 15 months ago. The papers Jessica had wanted me to sign. The future she'd tried to force on me. If I'd signed, I'd be in Clearwater Meadows now. Safe, comfortable, irrelevant. Instead, I was here, in a space humming with creativity and hope. Surrounded by young people who called me by name, who valued my opinion, who invited me into their lives. Marcus approached, portfolio under his arm. Claire, got a minute? Always. He showed me his latest work, a series exploring identity and belonging. I'm thinking about grad school. Emily Carr has a program in social practice art, using art to create social change. That sounds perfect for you. Yeah, but it's expensive, and I'd have to move to Vancouver. He hesitated. Would it be okay if I listed you as a reference? Not just for the application, but for life stuff, like as an emergency contact? My throat tightened. I'd be honored. Cool, because you're basically the only adult who never gave up on me. He grinned. Well, you and Maria. But she's already my reference for the scholarship application. After he left, I stood in Thomas's old workshop, now a thriving pottery studio, and let myself cry. Not from sadness, but from overwhelming gratitude. I'd thought losing Thomas meant losing everything. Instead, it had been a beginning. That evening, Jessica helped me lock up. As we walked to our cars, she said, I heard Derek's video is being used in college courses now. Oh? Yeah. Ethics classes, social work programs, gerontology studies. She laughed bitterly. My husband's 15 minutes of fame, and it's for being an example of what not to do. Growth often comes from uncomfortable places. That's very diplomatic of you. She paused at her car. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you forgive me? For trying to take your house, your independence, your choices? I considered the question carefully. Forgiveness isn't a switch I can flip. It's a process. Some days I'm still angry. Some days I'm hurt. But most days, I'm just grateful we're here now, doing this work together. That's fair. She hugged me tight. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. You're my daughter, I said simply. I chose you once, and I keep choosing you, even when you make it difficult. Especially when I make it difficult, especially then. As I drove home to my little apartment, I thought about the life I'd built from the ashes of loss. It wasn't the life I'd planned. It wasn't the life Jessica had wanted for me. But it was mine. The house that was supposed to be my burden had become my legacy. The daughter who'd tried to control me had become my partner. The youth who were supposed to be draining my resources had filled my life with purpose. I'd learned something crucial. Aging doesn't mean diminishing. It means choosing what matters and letting go of what doesn't. It means understanding that your value isn't determined by your utility to others, but by the impact you choose to make. Jessica had seen me as a problem to solve. The community had seen me as a cautionary tale, but I'd always known the truth. I was just getting started. 3 years after that birthday dinner, the sanctuary hosted its largest exhibition yet. 50 young artists, all alumni of our programs, displaying work that ranged from traditional painting to digital installations to performance art. The opening night was packed. City councilors, art critics, collectors, educators, and families filled every room, and standing in the center of it all, I felt Thomas's presence. Not as a ghost, but as a foundation. Everything we'd built together, the house, the life, the love, had become the ground from which this new forest grew. Kayla, now 22 and teaching her own classes at the sanctuary, found me in the crowd. "Claire, there's someone here to see you." She led me to a young woman I didn't recognize. Mid-20s, nervous energy, clutching a portfolio. "This is Sage," Kayla said. She saw the documentary about the sanctuary, drove here from Calgary. "Documentary?" I asked. "Someone made a short film about this place. About you. It's been playing at festivals." Kayla grinned. "You're kind of famous now." Sage stepped forward. "Miss Whitmore, I was in foster care for 8 years. Bounced around, told I'd never succeed, never matter. Then I saw the film about what you've built here. How you use art to give kids a future." Tears filled her eyes. "I want to do this. In Calgary. For kids like I was. Would you? Could you teach me?" I looked at this young woman so full of hope and determination and saw the future multiplying. Not just one sanctuary, but many. Not just my legacy, but a movement. "Yes," I said. "Let's talk about what you'll need." Later, as the crowd thinned and the artists packed up their work, Jessica found me sitting in the garden, the space that used to be Thomas's vegetable patch, now a meditation area with benches and sculpture. "You okay, Mom?" "Better than okay." I patted the bench beside me. "That young woman from Calgary, she wants to create something similar there. That's amazing." "It is. And terrifying. What if we can't help her? What if she fails? What if she succeeds?" Jessica countered. "What if 10 years from now, there are sanctuaries like this in every major city, all because you refused to sign those papers? All because you chose purpose over safety?" I smiled. "You've learned well. I had a good teacher." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I'm sorry I almost took this from you. From all of us. You didn't know what you were taking. None of us did." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the last guests leave, listening to the youth volunteers laugh as they cleaned up. "Mom?" Jessica said quietly. "Yes? Thank you for being stubborn." I laughed. "Thank you for learning to accept it." As I locked the sanctuary doors that night, I thought about the woman I'd been at 63, freshly grieving, newly alone, handed documents that would have erased her autonomy. That woman could have signed, could have accepted the narrative that she was too old, too fragile, too much trouble. Instead, she'd walked away, built something new, refused to be diminished. And in refusing to be diminished, she'd expanded beyond anything she could have imagined. The house that was supposed to be sold for someone else's comfort had sheltered hundreds of dreams. The daughter who tried to control her had become her greatest ally. The youth who'd needed her had given her the family she'd always wanted. This is what I wish I could tell every person facing the same pressure to be smaller, quieter, more manageable. Your value doesn't decrease with age. Your dreams don't expire. Your purpose doesn't require permission. The people who try to limit you often do so from fear. Fear of their own inadequacy. Fear of change. Fear of being left behind. But their fear is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself, to the legacy you want to leave, to the impact you want to make. At 66 years old, I have learned that the most radical act of resistance is simply refusing to disappear, refusing to be quiet, refusing to accept that my best years are behind me. Because they're not. They're right here, in this sanctuary, with these young people, building something that will outlast all of us. And that's worth more than any inheritance, any comfort, Any safety, that's worth everything.